So let's talk about The Hill. This movie, Ricky, did you ever imagine that your story would be told in a feature film like this? And when you were watching the movie, at least when I was watching the movie, it seems like it's made to be a movie. But when you're living it, did you have any idea you'd ever see it in a movie like this?
Oh, heavens no. Not even a thought. Never would even cross my mind, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
no, never. I would ever
What
think
was it?
it would ever
Glad you've seen it. What is it like to see your story done this way? What is it like?
powerful.
Mm,
It's got this movie to me is Jeff made this movie. I call I call very few things is superior.
mm,
He made this movie superior. And you can't get very much better than the word superior. And
right.
so, did I ever think I'd ever see this in headlights? Nah. Did I ever think that I was a child coming up? No. But this was made before I was even born.
Wow. Jack, can you give me some background on kind of how the whole thing came together?
Yeah. I was sitting at home one night and I got a phone call from my brother, and he said, "I'm sitting here with this guy I just met in the lobby of a hotel who was on his phone talking to somebody about not being able to find a director, and I've convinced him to call you. He's here. You want to talk to him?" And I was like, "What?" And I only met my brother in 2006. We didn't know each other existed. So my brother only knew me a few months before he met Ricky.
Oh wow.
He found me on the internet. He was just an illegitimate brother that I didn't know had. We had the same father but different mothers, and I never knew he existed.
Oh
And
wow.
he really, when we met, we bonded like heavily, like two brothers would. It was weird. And he met Ricky, sent me the script that night, and said, "You got to meet this guy tomorrow, Jeff. You're the perfect director." And Ricky had met like 40 directors, and he was very, very disgruntled and upset that he hadn't found somebody that he felt could make his story to the big screen. And when I read the script, I just fell in love with it immediately, and it got inside my heart, and never, I couldn't get it out. And it was an obsession of mine from the day I ever read the script to get it made.
Wow. It seems to me like kind of a timeless sort of tale. Like it's about baseball, but it's about so much more than that.
Yeah, I definitely did everything in my power. What is that? There's a weird thing going on. I did everything in my power. A spaceship's landing. Everything in my power to make sure that I made the movie accurate and real. You know, um, I I sorry, I lost my train of thought when that happened.
Oh
You
yeah,
asked me to
no,
answer that question again.
no. I mean, we were just talking about how the kind of the timeless feel of the movie, how it's
Yeah, yeah.
more than just the
The
baseball
60s and
movie.
70s aspect of it, I wanted to make it more universal, so it was timeless. I wanted it to be a movie you could turn on in 20 years and you felt like you still were in that era. It brought back that kind of historic or nostalgia that we all have from the 60s and 70s that we remember or I've seen in movies or whatever. And I wanted everybody to be able to relate to it, even if you hadn't grown up in that time. That was kind of my goal. I want to
Ricky,
classics, I think,
yeah,
have something about them that stand the test of time, meaning
yeah,
time goes on and they still work somehow.
yeah.
Like you can go back and watch Rudy or Field of Dreams, and it feels like you just watched it yesterday.
And Dennis Quaid is really that kind of an actor who stars in so many kinds of timeless movies. Getting him was a real catch for this movie, just for that reason.
Absolutely.
Ricky, what was it like seeing? Because the movie's like you said, so much more about baseball. It's really about the complicated relationship between you and your father. What was it like seeing that relationship depicted in a movie? What did it bring back for you?
Well, I've said so many times that I basically asked for it because I would go out in the backyard, start preaching sermons at a young, 7, 8 years old, wearing braces and just kind of showing off that my skills and the Bible and showing the talent that I had in the Bible because I knew I knew the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I can name them, and I also can name them backwards. And it's from studying. So I just got on fire for doing what my dad was doing, like anybody else would do, to mimic their father, to the love that they had. But except I had a problem. I could hit a rock with a stick like nobody else could.
You could aim it.
And that came into play. And then next thing you know, this is being it's like a powerhouse for me. And then I had two things going on at one time. I had the love of the Heavenly Father, a love of a father, and the love of the game, the base game of baseball.
Yeah,
So
the movie really encompasses all of those things. Is Dennis Quaid the actor you could, was he the person you think was right to cast to play your father? What was it like seeing Dennis Quaid playing your father in the movie?
absolute perfection. He understood. And the great thing was, we couldn't believe it, that our grandmothers grew up in the same little old country town. Our grandmothers.
Oh, wow.
We couldn't believe it.
A lot of his family comes from the town that Rickey grew up in.
Yes.
Wow.
We had no idea.
Huh.
We had no earthly idea until we met. And then all of a sudden he said, Rickey, my grandmother was in Corsicana. And I went, my grandmother's in Corsicana. I said, what year? And he's, same year. Our families were living the same year, me and Dennis.
Wow.
Then I knew God planted this right on top of us.
Wow. It sounds like this was a really special production from beginning to end. Talk to me a little bit about some of the were there any challenges in getting this movie made?
Yeah. It was nonstop. It's funny, you were talking about take all the time it took and the challenges and this and that. This movie has taken a course that it was supposed to take from day one, and we only realized it, Rickey and I, in just recently. I mean, today the world is such a mess and upside down. Everybody's struggling to figure out what they're going to do next and how they're going to survive the next disaster or the next situation. And it is so needed, this movie. I mean, I'm finding that people are turning to these movies because they want to feel good. They want to feel inspired. They want to have something in their life uplift them and make their life a little better than it was before they walked in that theater. And I think we achieved that. And so, the struggle was tough. It was my struggle making this movie was very similar to Rickey's story, getting his career on track, and becoming a pro baseball player. I worked so hard for 17 years trying to get this movie made. We had so many hurdles of financing falling through, people trying to steal the movie, lying to us, contracts filled out, lawyers, all this time and energy, and it never got made because these stories are hard to get made. People, the movie business has a book they open up, not a literal book, but it's like in their mind, they go, page 1, this is not this. Page 2, we're going to stay away from this. Page 3, let's put an algorithm in there. Even with their algorithms, they can't manufacture what's in a person's heart. And right now in this world, people need an uplift. They need an inspiration. It's just not, if this movie was made 10 years ago, probably wouldn't have been the right time.
You think it came along at just the right moment?
I do. Don't you? When you saw it, don't you feel like when you saw it, it made you feel different?
It certainly feels like they don't make these kinds of movies very much anymore.
Yeah, they don't. I think that, that's another thing about me. I mean, I love good stories. I love good books. And I think that Hollywood's kind of left that out now, and they're just going with what works or telling the same story over again, number 6 or number 9 or number 10. And they're making money and people are going. But these movies, it seems today, like Sound of Freedom and Jesus Revolution or any kind of inspirational story about somebody overcoming the odds is working.
It does seem like they're making a comeback in just the right time. Thanks a lot, you two, for taking a few minutes to talk with me about The Hill. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the troubles at the beginning of the...
Oh, no problem, Travis. Thank you for your support and your enthusiasm.
Thank
Travis,
you.
thank you, my man.
And if you're in town, I'll swing some golf balls with you, Ricky. Yeah, you can
Okay,
show me
babe, you
a
gotta buy
pointer.
me a
Ricky.
steak.
He'll put you on track. He's good.
Yeah, gotta get me a steak. Gotta get me a steak, and then we go play. Then we go play.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.